My name is Ian and welcome to Planted. In this video, I'm going to show you how to save a plant from impending doom because frosts are on their way. Now, the project I want to work on today is that of saving this fantastic habanero pepper. As I said earlier, frosts are coming and it'd be a shame to lose this plant. Now, the principles we're going to explore today you can use for so many plants. And that is that in digging it up, we lose some roots, which means that we have to cut back the crown. So you need clippers, something with which to dig, and have a pot ready to put the plant in. We want to reduce the disturbance to the root ball as much as possible. Now, I've used some of these, and I think they're fantastic, but clearly we've got some animals coming in here and eating them. So we can prune those off. This is what I find amazing. You think that your plant doesn't have many fruits on it, but they're green. They're hiding kind of in plain sight. Now we have to sacrifice these. We can't keep all of them because we will not have the root ball to support the transpiration rate, the rate at which water leaves the plant. So these have to go. The first time you try and save a plant that is about to get frosted and that would ultimately die, and you might feel a little bit of panic, a little bit of burden, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. The first few plants you try and save, they may not live. But what I'm showing you in this video is that it's perfectly okay to sacrifice some roots as long as you sacrifice some crown. And very important to have the pot right there in front of you to prevent you from having to put it down, then pick it up again, and maybe handle it unnecessarily. You can do this. Please give it a go. It's very important to remember that habaneros are very, very spicy, and even touching the fruits themselves will leave a little bit of the pepper on your hand. Do not scratch your face, do not scratch your eyes. So be very careful when you're using these peppers. Now, I've got two plants here, and I've cut them both back, kind of rough and ready. It only took but a minute, but I can now see exactly where my plant is growing. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. You might be using a trowel like I have here, or you could be using a spade, and you don't know how much of the root ball you're going to be able to save. You might find that the crown is much bigger than the size of pot that you had planned to put it in, which means you need a bigger pot. Or conversely, as I am here, I've got somewhat of a smaller root ball than I was anticipating based on the size of the plant. It doesn't matter. Either way, it's a bit of a guessing game as to the size of pot that you'll need. I'm fortunate that this can go in this pot, and I'll be using the soil that was around it to backfill it in just a moment. Those rough cuts to something a little bit more accurate. Now I'm holding it in my hand very carefully because I don't want it to collapse. You want to pick this up as few times as possible. Now you could have some potting mix on hand. You can use, like I'm doing here, the soil that was in the hole. The reason I'm using that is I know it's really good quality. It's got lots of organic matter with it. You don't want to use clay. You don't want to use pure, heavy, solid soil because it makes the pot just very difficult to handle. Old potting mix mixed with soil is a very good choice. That little shake is very important. It just helps it settle without overly compacting it. Now this is where I think people take a bit of a misstep. We've sacrificed lots of root, it's been cut off, we've cut back the crown, but we've got to remove some foliage. Anytime that you are removing foliage, or pruning for that matter, but in this case removing the foliage, having clippers is really important. You might try and tear them off with your hand if you don't have clippers. You might try and use scissors. I've seen people use saws. and a whole myriad of DIY tools to do what is a very simple gardening job. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you don't have a pair of Felco clippers, F-E-L-C-O clippers, you're making a very easy, rewarding job unnecessarily difficult. This is something that you'll come to rely on as you get better at gardening, and you can't imagine trying to do a job like this without clippers. The reason we remove the foliage is so that the plant can't dry out too quickly. Now I'm going to give this some water and I'm going to set it in some shade. It's had a big shock. This can stay outside. We don't have any more cold weather coming for a few days. So keeping this moist, keeping it shaded, will allow the roots that are in there to grow into that pot that we put the plant in. And at some point we'll start to see new shoots growing, and then we know we're off to the races. Now I put just one plant in this pot. I could easily have dug up the second plant and put the two in together, but for the purposes of what I was showing you, one plant serves the purpose. And I've got to just point this out. Look at all of this foliage that we got rid of. This is an absolute must. Make sure that you water your plant immediately. If this were to get frost, it would die. So it's going to stay outside for the next week or so, and then gradually it'll start to be moved towards my greenhouse, where it will start to put out fruit in late November, December, and January. Can't wait. Bye for now.